All right, more breaking news right now. SkyCal has finally made it over another pursuit underway right now.
Desmond Shaw live in SkyCal with more for us. Des, another white car, it looks like.
Yep, yeah, here we go. Another pursuit here. This one totally unrelated to that one that we were seeing, just kind of circling around downtown LA right now. I believe we said this was a stolen vehicle as we're back out onto Washington Boulevard. So we first heard this on LAPD's southwest frequency, so somewhere in the South LA area. There were quite a few black and whites behind this one. LAPD both on the ground and in the air. You see them crossing the Expo line tracks right here and around Grant. It kind of seems like the suspect doesn't know what they want to do. They actually drove into a dead end on Hope Street right at the 10 freeway, but they were able to get their way out of that as we go underneath the 10 freeway now. You know, LAPD, they got to be careful because there we go. Okay, just making sure that they were going to pop out right there. As we're actually going the wrong way on. This is a one-way street, and this suspect is going the wrong way.
Multiple times he's done this, you guys.
So, yeah, very nerve-wracking, and these are the kind of techniques, unfortunately, where really gives LAPD a lot of pause to continue the pursuit. So we'll see what they're going to do right by a cyclist right there. They were driving in the bike lane earlier as well. So it's a pretty frightening one here in the heart of downtown, guys.
Wow, so unsafe. Mike, I know you've been on the phone with police. What have you been able to piece together since Des has now been over the scene?
Yeah, just at what they call, this is what they call a Code 37. That's a stolen vehicle. Okay. I can't really hear how they came upon it, if this was a situation where they just ran a plate, if it's a fresh stolen, or exactly what the circumstances are.
Oh no.
Real close.
So many close calls with these bicyclists, the way he's been driving wrong side of the road. LAPD is in tracking mode technically, although earlier we saw those officers pretty close behind him. Now that he's gone on the wrong side of the road, I assume that they're pretty far behind him because they were not able to negotiate that wrong way turn, or that wrong way down that street. That's against their policy generally. So, you know, we'll have to see if they end up getting back close with them right now. But again, we are just north of the 10 freeway, I believe. And just coming in, as Des mentioned, getting into Skid Row.
And so many pedestrians out this afternoon, even with the heat, so many bicyclists, people on foot. Look at this crosswalk there. And thank goodness that we haven't seen anybody get injured here. But we have a driver, right, in a stolen car, just not willing to stop.
Certainly close calls. And the problem here, too, is that officers back off so that they are hoping that this driver will drive a little slower and calm down a bit. But also when they're not close behind, people on the road don't know that this is happening. They don't hear the sirens. They don't see the flashing lights. So they don't know someone's desperately trying to get away from officers.
And now we're getting into a worse situation where if they are still in tracking mode, which I believe that they are, and we're coming into downtown with tall buildings, police helicopters, our helicopters, we're going to start to have a really hard time keeping an eye on this. And with the way that he's driving, I don't really see LAPD, the watch commander there at Southwest, giving permission to go back into full-blown pursuit on city streets with tons of pedestrians, with a driver who clearly has no regard for public safety, driving on the wrong side of the road. I mean, we've only been overhead this couple minutes now. We've already seen several close calls with bicyclists and pedestrians. But it looks like, I think, are we going back that south now, Des?
Yeah, we are. We're in southbound Maine, so we'll be crossing underneath the 10 freeway here again momentarily. This is really kind of a pick your poison here for LAPD because this one is so dangerous. I mean, you hate to let a suspect get away, but they are, definitely weighing, public safety. But then if they back off and the driver continues to drive like this, then you really have the worst of all worlds, where a suspect is just driving like a total maniac without any LAPD even behind them. So as we're getting right back to the 10 freeway here at Maine and Venice, so many people out here walking around right now. We've had a lot of close calls. That's what's making this so dangerous. And this person here who's just taking every opportunity to go through every red light that they possibly can as we cross Venice, still southbound on Maine. We'll see what LAPD's next move is going to be on this one.
And I'm wondering why he's not making a right-hand turn. He's had two opportunities where he could continue the flow of traffic and make a right-hand turn. But as you were saying, Des, he's just blowing through all these red lights. Pedestrians are crossing the street. Such dangerous driving here.
Yeah. And you wonder if this driver's not as familiar with downtown after going down wrong way streets, ending up in that dead-end street. You see a pedestrian there just trying to get out of the way. Now he's making that right-hand turn, or she. We don't know if it's a male or female behind the wheel of this stolen car, but certainly very dangerous at 4:30 on a Tuesday afternoon. A lot of folks are about to get off work. Some are already getting off work. walking, riding their bikes, and things are really going to be picking up as more people in their workday here in the downtown area.
Oh, there's LAPD right there.
And, you know, guys, as I'm kind of looking at this, I'm looking at the track of the LAPD helicopter. We may be, if I'm looking at this correctly, kind of in the area where this started. And then it looks like we went southbound, like paralleling the 110, maybe even on the 110, and then west a little bit further south, and then all the way back north up La Cienega. And then they came back eastbound on Obama and then north back up towards the 10 freeway where we ended up picking it up. So looks like we're kind of doing a big circle at this point.
Are we officially still in tracking mode, Mike?
I believe so, Des. I don't know if you can tell with the distance that is behind the vehicle there, if there are any patrol cars even back there. I would assume so, the way that they've been driving. Yeah, see, there's no black and whites right on his tail there. So I would assume that we are still in tracking mode. Des, I know there is still an LAPD ship up there, right?
Yes, there is. There is still an LAPD ship up here. I'm sure the watch commander kind of, just trying to decide what they want to do next, if they even, want to continue this, because it has become a pretty dangerous one, even without any black and whites on the ground.
Right.
And, it's just become, we've just had way too many bad endings with these stolen vehicle pursuits for, a potentially nonviolent crime. But I mean, this person is just cutting off all of these pedestrians. That was somebody in a wheelchair right there. Extra awful is, now we're on kind of narrow residential streets here in South LA, 23rd Street, headed towards the East LA interchange. So, we did see some other units that were kind of on the periphery of this. Maybe the hope is that, this person does seem pretty aimless, that, maybe they'll drive into a dead end or something and they'll be forced to get out of their vehicle, and then they can, move the authorities in at that point. Maybe that's the going strategy right now. We're not hearing about pit maneuvers or spike strips or anything like that. But, we're talking about this area, this time of day. It is definitely a big-time public safety issue.
Yeah, big problem. And again, the want here is simply a stolen vehicle. So to be, driving so dangerously, putting so many people's lives at risk, just keeps adding to the possible charges that this driver is definitely going to face. Because as we can see here, just going down, the wrong way on a one-way street, crossing over the expo line. We saw him blowing through red lights, and now it looks like, Des, he's in an alley now, right?
Yep, into an alley here off of 20th and Central, paralleling Central, headed northbound right now. The alley now coming out onto 20th Street, it looks like, and then another aimless turn. So just, circling around, kind of like Mike was saying, kind of in the general vicinity of where we had first heard about all of this, along, it just basically straddling downtown LA and South LA. And we might have just come to a stop here. Let's see if we can get to the other side.
Out on foot.
Is anyone out and running? Yep, out on foot. Yep, we got multiple people out here. Looks like maybe 3 suspects. Yep, 3, 4. 4, 5. I think there's 5.
Oh, yeah.
They're all into this backyard right here.
3, 4, 5, yeah.
Yeah, multiple suspects again. Fortunately, out of the vehicle. That's definitely good news for everyone else with all of those close calls. And, I got to tell you guys, I believe it looked like a stolen Kia. Looked like some pretty young guys that were involved in this, that were in this vehicle. It may have been another case of the very well-publicized Kia boys. We won't know for sure, but certainly possible as they are out here running, all 4 of them together. These are, these look like children.
Yeah.
And you know what? We've heard this before about the Kia boys, that a lot of them may not even be 18. We've got 4 of the 5 all together in this group. We'll try to keep with them as long as we can. Unfortunately, those Kias and Hyundais just so easy to steal.
Can you guys tell us about the Kia boys? What are the Kia boys?
It's on social media.
It's kind of a it's kind of a you can't even really call it an affiliation. I mean, they talk on social media. They're not really affiliated with each other, but it's going on all across the country. These kids that get on, and it's become very well known how easy it is to steal some of these cars. And they get out there, they joyride around with them, and then a lot of times this ends up happening. They crash the cars, or they get out, they're stolen, and they get out and run. And they're all kind of keeping together, which is very curious. But these look to be young kids here.
Yeah.